Hello, fellow Island Riders. Glad to hang out with you again tonight. I've been getting a few questions and a few comments about my rig system that I have for doing motovlogs and just doing filming of the videos overall. Comes in from some friends who watch the videos and some from people in the comments every once in a while. And I just wanted to throw out there a little bit of what I do and a little bit of how I got it set up. Just also to kind of pay it back a little bit because I've drawn a lot from a lot of other people and it's really worked for me. Also, I wanted to do it a little bit different because there's a lot of videos out there, people that are kind of showing their system and how they have it all set up. So I wanted to kind of go and show more of a progression of where I went to. I have 3 series basically of the helmet rig system. There's Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3. So I'll show you how that shakes all out. They basically move up in order of magnitude by price. So when I started out, I didn't really put a lot of money into it. But I still feel like I got a good rig out of it. So let's take a look at those and break them all down. Alright, so let's start out with Mark 1 here. Basically, the way Mark 1 went down was I got a camera from Amazon for Christmas last year. And thank you to my wife for getting me that because it's a really good camera, despite the price that I paid for it. This is essentially the most inexpensive model and unfortunately the most complicated. And the reason why it's complicated is because of this thing. The way it really hashes out here is I have my action camera here, I have a separate audio recorder, digital audio recorder here capturing audio on a separate track, and then I have this lavalier microphone, omnidirectional, in through the helmet. So let's break it down a little bit. So I'll start out with the camera first. The camera is mounted on this chin mount that came with the camera. Actually, this camera that you can get on Amazon comes with an incredible amount of accessories that really just held up for a good, season of filming. And essentially it straps in like this. This works really, really good. I really like this because it had a really good flush mount here. So that was a nice little treat. The camera itself is your basic Faux Pro camera that you can buy on Amazon. This was all of $50, believe it or not. And it does actually record in 4K, just not very well. The max I've recorded this on was 1080 and 60 frames per second. And normally I would actually go for 30 frames per second because it wasn't really effective. There isn't an external microphone port, which is not that great. That's why I'm rocking the separate audio here. But it wasn't too bad of a camera. For $50, man, this worked. This worked really well. The field of vision isn't very wide like you'd see on a GoPro, but it actually worked out quite well, and I was pleased with it. A couple problems with it though. You have to set the date and time every time you swap batteries. If you don't, this thing's file naming system internally will begin to overwrite files after you get so far into a trip. I think it's like after 2 hours, the rollover on the memory card will start to overwrite files. That's a pain in the butt. You get into editing and then you find out you're missing like half an hour's worth of footage. No dice. The other part of this setup was this digital audio recorder. Now this is a Zoom H1N. Would I recommend buying it? Definitely not. Man, this thing did the job. It got good audio quality, but there was a learning curve to figuring out all the bugs. Number 1, that USB does not work. Number 2, you can lock it out and hold it, but this volume control is still accessible. So if this moves around in your pocket at all, your volume is going to get skewed. I was out on a run one time and my volume was just blasting the whole time, and I was clipping on my vocals, or not vocals, but speech, I should say, voice. But all in all, it does get good audio quality once you dial it in. However, it takes a lot to dial this guy in, and you got to figure out the bugs. Other issue, it can't hold a very large memory card. Not a really cool thing. It does have a limiter function, so you can limit some of the pops and things, and it has an auto level. However, if you have the auto level on and you go quiet, it just stops recording for some reason. My first time out with this, all of my audio was washed because it would just skip. So I couldn't sync it into the actual video that I was getting off the camera. Now this hooked into microphone setup, and the microphone setup hasn't really changed between anything here. It runs just through a line right in Like I have a whole lot of cable actually in here. And this is a Power Dewise, another Amazon find. This microphone is absolutely excellent for what it is. And I really, really liked it. So it has a lot of extra cable that's hidden up here within the helmet in a safer spot, but most of it goes into this little cheek pad underneath, and in the end here I have the actual microphone plus a little piece of dead cat to kind of keep the wind noise out, and that's how you can see that little chin mount go in. So that was essentially Mark 1, and it got me through pretty much all of the videos that I've been doing right now, and it really worked for me, but I had to work to make it work, which is probably, you know, what I paid extra in savings. So that said, this is a really, really good system if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of cash to throw up front. You can get this camera, you can get all the attachments you need. This was about $60. You can get this fella here. This was about $120. Totally not worth it. I would probably pick the equivalent Sony model instead of going with this thing to save you some heartache. So anyway, these days are over. I use it for voiceover now. I use it for gathering general sound. That's about it. All right, let's take a look at the other one. All right, out with the old, in with the new. Here we have the Mark II. That rhymed unintentionally. Anyway, basically, we still have the same chin mount. And the new addition here, obviously, is the Hero Pro 7 Black. The GoPro 7 Black. The reason why I chose this one is primarily because it's not as smart as the Hero 8, which makes it easier to use, and there's not a lot of things going around in the background of the camera that's eating up the battery life, so the battery life is just slightly better. That other camera that I was looking at before had a battery life of 1.5 hours, which is incredible. It was just dumbed down. It didn't have any video stabilization. It didn't have a lot of knickknacks going around in the background, so there was less pull on the battery, so the battery lasted a lot longer for us. So this one has way better picture, way better video stabilization, and it's just an ultimate machine too. The consideration for audio, I don't have to do a separate audio track now, which is great. I still do sync up with my other camera because I've been using and experimenting other angles with my other camera, so I still have to sync that up, but it's not a big problem. This one here, I had to purchase the audio adapter, and this is about $80 Canadian. All these prices are Canadian dollars, by the way, and they're guesstimates. They might have changed and gotten less. But again, we have the same microphone because it's excellent coming in here, and then basically I have the audio adapter running through the Super Suit into the Hero 7. So that is held onto the side with dual lock from 3M. You can buy this stuff in your picture framing hanging section of your store. It basically just comes right off. I got that idea from Ron C and Box of Chocolates. They threw up their videos on how to set up their camera rig, and they mentioned this dual lock stuff, and it is really good. It's amazing, so highly recommend it. So that just clicks on and clicks off. It's really neat. And it holds really well too. So the camera itself, I did have to do a little bit of an adjustment because I wanted this Super Suit because my cameras end up getting splashed a lot by mud. But the only thing I had to do is I had to bore that little hole there so I could get at the USB-C connection for the adapter to get into that. It wasn't a big deal, just a few drill holes and then some creative filing and patience, and I got a hole that's really, really narrow and fits that adapter quite snugly. So there isn't a lot of water ingress in that point still. This is not waterproof anymore. Obviously, it's not dive rated, and I'm not going to go diving with the KLR 650 anytime soon because I just don't think old Fox would make it. But it is water resistant to a really high degree, so it's going to hold up against rain. It's going to hold up against mud. But overall, I've got a really good suit. It's got great protection. But that's the biggest change with Mark II, is just the addition of this rig. The biggest benefit from this is the fact that I just don't have to run a separate audio. I don't have anything else attached to me from this helmet, so I can just take it on and off as I need to. And it's just very, very easy on the head as far as capturing good footage, capturing good audio. The audio capture from this And this adapter is excellent. It has a built-in auto leveling system to make sure that if things do start to peak and clip, it will catch it before that, and it'll make sure that you have some good audio that way. I have yet to run into a situation where I've had audio level problems when I'm riding the bike, especially when there's times when there's wind. The wind will still not clip it out, which is so good. I'm just astounded by how well this works. The one thing to consider though, when you use this, always plug it in and then power it on. Because if you don't do that, if you power it on and then you plug it in, it won't pick up the fact that you have a mic on. So just make sure you have the correct order of operations when you're running this. The price tag on this one here overall is about $550. And that's all camera right there. But it's all worth it. All right, now I'm gonna try and put together the Mark III. All right, fellow Island riders, looks like we're all set to go. Mark III is ready to rock. And man, oh man, I think it looks like one heck of a clean mounting system. I mean, check that out. Look how neat the wiring is tucked into there. I got the adapter all hooked on with some more dual lock. The Hero 7 is locked on really good. The Proshot is locked on really good. I am really impressed with this. And again, I think this is just a really good setup. So I highly recommend it. Very sleek, you know, it very fits right into the helmet itself. The whole profile of the helmet looks really, really good. And I also still had enough cable relief right here just to still run it into the same spot. So we didn't have to change the microphone positioning at all, which is really good. I'll take it for a spin tomorrow and we'll have a look at the angle, see how it shakes out with some wind blasting at it. Hopefully nothing will come flying off, but I don't think anything will. Anyway, I think that's going to work excellent. Cool. Hello, fellow Island riders. All right, so we got the Mark III rig all installed and on the helmet, and we're checking out the angle here. So I'm in a pretty relaxed position right now as far as my head's concerned. I'm not like in the attack mode or anything like that. I'm just kind of up and around. And I'm interested to think about what this angle is going to look like. Of course, you know, I'll fire this right into the editor and I'll send it, publish it, so you guys can just see the angle, and then, you know, we'll all get a look at it for the first time, basically. But, you know, let me know what you think. Let me know if you got any comments on any kind of adjustments that you would make. Aside from that, I'm just going to enjoy the beautiful foliage on my way to Work 2.0 for the day.